Hey everybody, Brian here from Sandy Vans. Today I wanted to show you the install of our Sandy Vans Starboard rear rack. That is the rack that's going on the passenger side of your 2019 Plus Mercedes Sprinter van. You have to have the 180-degree hinges that look like this with the 2 holes in it to attach this rack. Let me show you what comes in the package. So first off, you're going to have all of your hardware, all of your large bolts, your smaller bolt pack for the bracket that attaches to the rack and to your door where the Mercedes logo was. You're also going to have some backer plates for bolting the hardware through the 180 hinges, the bump stops to make sure your rack doesn't go too far into your van, and a logo replacement bracket. The tools needed to install all of this is right here, a Torx 25 to remove your Mercedes logo. You're going to want a hammer with a pretty large head and a pair of pliers. I like to use the angled pliers to hold the bump stops while you're attaching those to the van. For your smaller button head screws, you're going to want to use a 4mm Allen with a 7/16 wrench or socket for your nuts. And then right here, a 9/16 wrench for the nuts on the 180-degree installation and a socket, 9/16 socket. We have it on a Milwaukee easy drill. First thing you want to do is take your T25 Torx, remove your Mercedes logo. On the back side, you're gonna see your 2 bolts here. Just unscrew those. Once the bolts are removed, you're gonna see the logo is still on there, so you're just gonna kind of pry it off like that. There's just a little bit of sticky tape on the back of that holding it on. Next part of the installation is gonna wanna take your bracket here, attach it to your rack so that when you get it onto the van, it's already in the right place. So you're gonna take your shorter button head bolts that come with it. That is the 5/8 size. Put it through your bracket and through the rack with a washer, as you can see there. The backside will get a washer and one of these nylock nuts. I personally like to just get it finger tight on both of these, and then when you get on the van and you get in the right location, you can tighten these down. You're gonna get your washer and the bolt through. On the backside is the washer and the nylock nut. Now the rack is prepped with a bracket. We're gonna pick it up, take it on the opposite side of the door. We're gonna have somebody helping us. Today is Chris, our exterior guy, holding the rack up. All right, so we have our backer plates that you saw Chris put through on the other side of the door, and then you wanna put a washer, and then the 1.5-inch bolt through it. I'm gonna now line it up with what he's got there. Right there on the top is good. Line it up on the bottom. All right, now we're in. On this side, we're also gonna put a washer, nylock nut. I like to get one on at least both of them before letting go of any pressure on the rack. All right, so now that we have the rack on the van, next thing we're gonna do is prep the Mercedes emblem and the bracket to go on. So the Mercedes emblem has these little tiny tabs on it, and to put our bracket onto here like this, we want to knock these tabs off. I usually just do it with like a little blade like this, just kind of wiggle it back and forth, like such, and you'll kind of slice it right off. Make sure that you have the blade going away from you and putting pressure down. I just kind of wiggle back and forth like this, and they come right off. Now we're gonna be able to set the bracket on. We're gonna use the same Torx head coarse screws that came with it, drop it through. Just give them, once again, a little finger tight. And it's easiest to have this T25 in a screwdriver like this, because then you can go through the top bolt and just start tightening them down. There we go. All right, now we're gonna show you how to install this on the van. All right, you're gonna wanna take your longer of the 1/4-20 button head bolts. This one's a 7/8 with a washer. You wanna push it through your van material, and it's gonna go through our bracket. Mercedes emblem, through the Mercedes emblem. This is a little tricky part, is you're gonna have to get this washer on the back side of the bolt and the nut on there, which is a very tricky one. There we go. Okay. Now that we got both those finger tight, we're gonna come here with the 7/16 wrench on the inside. We're gonna tighten these up. 4mm on the button head socket screw. You wanna tighten it up just enough to where you see this start to compress. There we go. Now you have your Mercedes emblem back on your van. You actually have a nice little bottle opener right here as well. So right here, the bracket and the starboard rack are going to get bolted together with these button head right here. On the back side, same thing, a 7/16. On the front side here, the 4 mil again. We use this part of the Allen to tighten it up. Or if you have a small Allen key on a drill, that also works. Just be super careful to not strip it. So now that we have the bracket, the emblem, and all that tightened down, these hand tightened bolts onto the 180 hinges are gonna wanna get fully tightened down from the outside with a 9/16 wrench, from the inside with a 9/16 socket or the Milwaukee impact. Perfect. All right, everybody, the last part of your starboard rack that we recommend is putting on the bump stops that it comes with. These are great because if you were to attach anything to your rack larger than maybe the Max Tracks or a shovel or something, when your door opens the 180, it could potentially hit the side of your Sprinter van. So if you watch here, when you open this side, and you keep bringing it all the way around, it comes 180. But if it were to go a little further, or you have a bike on there with the handlebars, it can go right into the side of your van. So we highly recommend putting these in. Let me show you how. Like I explained earlier, you're gonna want your pliers, having the angled ones really help to hold the little metal insert, and then having a hammer with a little larger head so it doesn't slip off as easily to pound these in. So this is the location they're gonna go, is these 2 pins that are inside of the 180 hinges. The stock ones come with a flat plate. You don't want to pop that off. The bottom one will get the taller of the 2. The other one is a little bit skinnier, and that'll be on the top of your van. So first, what I like to do is grab the pliers, and you see there's a gap right here. Grab the pliers and just squeeze it a little bit more to try to get them together a little bit, and it really helps getting it into the hole a lot easier. So I like to hold it like such. I set that in here like this, and real lightly tap. There we go. So you can see how far you want to get this in by how deep this plastic is right here. So that looks like a perfect distance. Now you're gonna set this over these, and same thing, lightly tap them in, the top a little bit, then the bottom. And work it until it's all the way, completely touching the hinge all the way around. You can also see those little pins just flush on the inside here as well. Now you have your bump stop in place so your door does not hit the side of your van. All right, and now this one is completely flush all the way around, and you can see the little pins just inside here as well. Like I said, when you open your door past the 180, this will now stop your hinges from opening all the way. That's your full extension with these bump stops now. If you were to have a bike mounted right here with the handlebars, it's not gonna hit your van anymore. If this were to swing more, you'd have your handlebars in the side of your van. If you have a box mounted on the back and the door swings open, it's not gonna hit the side of your van. If you have a spare tire on here, it'll stop here as well. So that is the reason for those bump stops. All right, we got our Starboard Rack installed on our 180-degree hinges, the 2019 Plus Mercedes Sprinter, your bracket with our logo, and shit, it's upside down. But that's an easy fix. All right, now we have the rack finished. Now that is your Starboard Rack install video. Thank you guys for watching the installation video for your Starboard rear rack for the passenger side of your 2019 Plus Mercedes Sprinter. If you have any more questions, please reach out to us at sandyvans.com.